When people imagine someone dressed like me, it's usually in a place like this, praying and chanting, hiding away from the world. What people don't expect to see is someone dressed like me in a place like this. And yet this is exactly how I spent my summer.
Traveling with another friar, I went on the pilgrimage of a lifetime, spanning the country multiple times to attend a game at every single Major League Baseball stadium. We were given exclusive access to stadiums, met some incredible people, and just had an amazing time watching the sport we love. This is what dreams are made of.
But this wasn't just some vacation. As much fun as we had, and we did have some fun, this was work. The work of evangelization.
You see, 800 years ago, a man named Francesco Bernardone had a major conversion of faith. Despite growing up the son of a rich merchant and living a life of revelry, there was something lacking in his life. After a terrible defeat in battle, he was filled with such joy that God loved him, even though a failure and sinner, that he decided to live a life of penance, selling everything he had, caring for the poor, and telling everyone about the life of Christ. This man would end up becoming Saint Francis of Assisi, the founder of the Franciscans, and one of the holiest men in history.
Believe it or not, St. Francis spent very little time actually preaching in churches. There were, of course, plenty of people who believed in his time, but there were also plenty of people who didn't believe, who knew nothing of Jesus. These were the people he wanted to reach, and so it made very little sense to spend his time here among people who already believed. He had to go out to where people were, to the marketplaces, to the city squares, to the places of entertainment and folly. 9 years ago, my class of Franciscans was asked a very simple question. Where are people gathering today? If they're not gathering here, then we must do everything we can to find them and go to where they are. And so, that's what we did with our summer. Dressed in our distinctive religious garb, sent out 2 by 2 just as Francis sent his brothers, we went among the people. We grabbed a hot dog, we held a beer, and simply made ourselves present by walking around. Despite what some might think, we didn't insert ourselves into anyone's conversations. We didn't corner unsuspecting fans to berate them about Jesus or convert them to Christianity. We didn't need to. They came right up to us. Some knew exactly who and what we are, but many thought we were Padres fans mistakenly attending the wrong game. No, they're actually fans of us, we'd say. A few wondered if it were Star Wars night and we were just cosplaying. These are not the fans you're looking for. God knows how many times we heard, so I gotta ask, what's with the costume? Ain't no costume, bro, we're the real thing. And it absolutely confounds me the amount of times people looked at us with utter confusion and asked, are you allowed to drink? Yes, we're Catholics, not Baptists. But really, it was all good, because it was the start of a conversation. We'd tell them that we were actually Franciscan friars, real Catholic priests. We just love baseball and Jesus. We're traveling around the country to go to every Major League Baseball stadium and to share our love for Jesus and his church. Some would smile and walk away immediately, don't want anything to do with that, but most would just light up. They'd tell us that that was their dream too. They'd share stories about baseball and ask questions about our tour. Most of the conversations revolved around our love for baseball and the extraordinary tour we were on, but we always ended the conversation with a simple question. Can we pray for you? Whew, the things we heard this summer. There in the middle of a baseball game, in front of complete strangers, were vulnerable people bearing their souls. Without hesitation, people shared with us the struggles they were facing, tragedies that were weighing them down, dreams for the future. Some, we could tell, were telling us things that had just happened and they hadn't quite processed yet. A few told us things that I'm sure they've never told anyone else in their lives. Amazing. Just powerful stuff. Some wanted to pray right then and there. Some asked for blessings. On one occasion, I heard the confession of someone who had not been to church in 25 years. All because we were present. It's impossible to know the full impact of what we did this summer, but there's no doubt in my mind that it was a success, that we touched many people's lives. And so people have asked us, what's next? We're gonna go to football stadiums, maybe Broadway musicals, backpack across Europe, that's where the people are, right? So go to where they are. There's some truth to that. Maybe we will. But you know, there's something about this game, something about this amazing tradition, something about baseball that just lends itself to this work of evangelization. As much as every sport has history and is proud of its past, there's something about the tradition of baseball that just stands supreme in my eyes. For better or for worse, it is always looking to the past, prides itself on the pure, unchanging nature of the game.
This summer, Father Tito and I got to experience that by visiting the National Baseball Hall of Fame, the Negro League Baseball Museum, the Louisville Slugger Factory and Museum, the original field where the All-American Girls Baseball League played. We got to see baseballs that were 150 years old. We walked on fields where some of the greatest players in history had played. In one instance, we got to hold one of Babe Ruth's game-used bats. To think that arguably the greatest athlete in history had this exact bat in his hands, that it was used in Yankee Stadium nearly 100 years ago, that it hit some of his 714 home runs. Oh my gosh.
If that doesn't give you chills, I don't know what will. I don't mean to overstate this, but it was like holding the relic of a saint, of being connected to the past, to our history. I was holding Babe Ruth's bat. Gosh. Of course, there's something about the pace of play of baseball that also lends itself to a tour like this. What some might see as its greatest weakness, that it's slow, that it's not filled with a lot of action, is actually its greatest asset in building community.
When you go to a soccer game, you can't take your eyes off the field. You might miss something. Basketball and hockey is just too much constant action. And football, it's just so loud.
Diggs! Sideline! Touchdown! Unbelievable! Vikings win!
Baseball's a pastime. It's a community sport. You grab some friends, you sit back, and you enjoy the summer. There's room to breathe, room to have conversations. Father Tito and I could walk around the stadium, talking with people, sharing our faith, blessing people, having a good time, and still be casually watching the game. That's why I think that there's such a great sense of community with baseball. People get to know each other. Sure, you can hang out with friends, but you can make new ones. I can't think of a single stadium this summer where strangers didn't strike up a conversation with us, where we didn't just relax and meet new people. I mean, you're watching a baseball game. What else are you gonna do? Now, obviously, baseball fans do their fair share of cheering as well, but it's just not the same as other sports. It may not be as loud, I'll admit, but it's far more choreographed in my opinion. People know what to do and they all do it together. They stand, they sit, they clap, they cheer. When you hear that organ, you instinctually know how to respond. What would a baseball game be without a first pitch? What would it be without the national anthem, the seventh inning stretch, the wave, singing, "Take Me Out to the Ball Game"? In baseball, there is an undeniable sense of ritual. In a world so wholly divided, it is a marvel to watch 40,000 fans all say the same thing, all make the same gesture. It's no wonder that people love their teams, love coming to the stadiums. It's because they feel a part of something bigger than themselves. How amazing it is that this tradition, this community is coming together in ritual, binding complete strangers together and giving life meaning. Of course, there's kind of an enormous part of the story I've left out thus far, and it's kind of at the heart of it all. The stadiums themselves. While every stadium obviously isn't a masterful work of art, every single stadium has something unique about it. Something amazing, something awe-inspiring that draws you in.
I mean, just look at the charm of Fenway Park and all of its obscurity. How can you not feel right at home when you see the ivy in Wrigley? You look at some of these new stadiums. Globe Field in Texas has enormous pillars holding up the stadium in left field, something that is architecturally interesting on its own, until you realize that each one is dedicated to a Hall of Famer, symbolically holding the franchise up. So cool.
In a sense, sure, they're nothing but centers for capitalism, for greed, for money. They're probably very dirty in some places, I accept this. And yet there's something just absolutely hallowed about this ground. The engineering marvel that it is, the unique designs, the storied histories. Baseball stadiums are just beautiful. It's why crazy people like Father Tito and I go on pilgrimage to see them all. And yes, I do mean pilgrimage. There's something about the journey, there's something about going to these hallowed places that you just don't find in other sports. You may travel at football to see your team, you might go to another arena in basketball, but no one dreams of seeing them all. No one dreams of the journey, except in baseball. There's just a sense of wonder to this sport.
And that right there is the key to it all, and the lesson for every Christian. For some, this tour was nothing more than two guys finding justification to do something fun, but it was much more than that. It was about showing the world that God is at work in the world.
There can be this approach sometimes to evangelization that comes off a bit condescending, even condemnatory. I have the truth, so everybody shut up. Leave your evil ways and accept what I have to give you. Beneath it all is this idea that the world and everything in it, everyone in it, is wholly evil, and the only truth can be found in the church.
The reality is that God is the author of all that is good, all that is true, all that is beautiful.
If you find something that is good, true, or beautiful, even if it's in another religion, even if it's done by someone who does otherwise evil things, even if it's found in a children's game played by adults, God is there. We could very easily look at the millions of people that come to baseball games every year who don't go to church and say, what are you doing with your life? We could ask them, why are you worshiping here rather than in church? And there's a time and a place for that question, for sure. But what if we took a slightly different approach? What if we looked at all these people and said, so you like tradition, you want community, you enjoy ritual, you are drawn to beauty. That's fantastic. That's really wonderful. I'm so glad you found this goodness, this beauty, this truth. Would you like to know where you can find even more of it? I'm a part of a tradition that is thousands of years old and connects me not only spiritually, but physically with the past. I have a sense of community that spans not only the entire globe, but supernatural realms. You want to talk about ritual? Well, let me introduce you to the Mass, a ritual that is 2,000 years old, guided by a 1,500-page book. And beauty? Yeah, we've got a little of that. But even more than all of those things, what we can really offer is new life. What we have to offer is a joy that never fades. A team may win the World Series and be triumphant for a year, that's fantastic. But with Jesus Christ, we live in bliss forever. Baseball is great, don't get me wrong, I love it. You have found part of the truth for sure. But let me add to it. Let me build upon what you found, fill in the pieces, and bring it to fullness. This is how we evangelize. This is how we reach the world. Rather than with a wagging finger or judgmental stare, we do so with openness and love to the fact that God is already present in the world. We just need to make Him known. I believe with all my being that every single person on this earth has had an experience of God, is drawn to what is good, true, and beautiful, and loves what they love because God is present in it. I don't care if it's baseball, video games, rock music, making gourmet meals. If there is something good, true, and beautiful to be found in the world, God is the source. Thus, our job as evangelists is not to tear down the world they love, is to help them understand why they love it in the first place. This summer, Father Tito and I did this with baseball, but it's something each and every one of us can do with everything that is good. It is a mindset that we can bring to our hobbies, our workplaces, and to our neighbors. Rather than wholesale condemn the world and everything in it, might we be able to pull out the good and build upon it? That is what St. Francis of Assisi did 800 years ago when he went to the marketplace. It's what Father Tito and I have tried to do as Franciscans for the past decade. And it is my exhortation to all of you. Be evangelists. Share the good news. Don't sit around in empty churches waiting for people to come to us. Go to where they are and help them see God's presence already in their lives.